Thank you, UNC and Montfort College of Business and the panelists for hosting us today. I'm Chad Fisher, and Amy Fisher and I will be presenting New Direction Packaging and the Squeeds packaging system. Next slide.
So the problem for seed eaters everywhere is that sunflower seeds are a very addictive snack food, but the shells are what pose the problem. They're messy. They get everywhere. They're in your car, they're in the dugout at ball fields, or anywhere people eat seeds. So the pressing question for all seed eaters is, what do I do with my shells? And this problem really exists for multiple audiences. It can exist for consumers, whether they're eating their sunflower seeds at home or on the go, in the car, or at games. And then they can choose to either spit their shells into a cup, which will soon be overflowing with shells and is just overall gross and nasty, or worse yet, on the ground. So for consumers, that's an issue. For groundskeepers at ball fields, this has become a real challenge. And it's the shells themselves are the bane of their existence. They're hard to sweep up, they're hard to vacuum up, and almost impossible to get rid of the shells completely. And this problem has become so pronounced that at ball fields and stadiums across the United States, seed eating is being banned altogether. And of course, as a COVID precaution now in Major League Baseball and certainly at other ball fields, spitting of any form is now prohibited.
Next slide. To address this problem, we've developed the Squeeds packaging system. This consists of our reusable Squeeds container and our custom refill bag. We'll show in a video on the next slide exactly how our reusable Squeeds container works. The basic description is that it has two end caps. The bottom is affixed to the container, and the top is removable to put fresh sunflower seeds inside. The user uses the reusable container by getting fresh seeds out of the bottom, consuming them, and then discarding the residual shells into the top of the container. We've actually sold over 1,000 of these Squeeds containers so far, proven the market need for the container. And then we're currently developing the refill pack, which will allow a user to buy the refill pack, pour fresh seeds in, and use the refill pack packaging itself as the bag inside the container to separate the sunflower seeds, the fresh sunflower seeds on the inside, from the discarded shells that they put into the top. Next slide. So this demonstrates our container system, which you get the fresh seeds out of the bottom. You squeeze it to put the shells into the top. Here it'll show the steps in the video in a second. So you remove the top cap, remove the bag, pour your sunflower seeds inside, and then you reinsert the bag in the container and place the top cap back on top. And then you're ready to get the fresh seeds out of the bottom. And as you consume the seeds, put your shells back into the top, into the bag. And again, this is how we've started with this reusable container and a simple bag. And we're progressing now into development of our custom refill pack that'll replace that bag with the packaging of the refill pack sunflower seeds itself. Next slide. So the US snack market is a very large market. Many of the snacking options have a residual waste, such as sunflower seeds and their shells, or pumpkin seeds, or pistachios. There's been essentially no innovation in the market to address this residual waste. And as Amy said, in many baseball parks across the United States, they've completely banned sunflower seeds altogether to eliminate the mess. So we believe there's nothing like our product on the market today, and we're actually implementing a proven profitable business model in the Keurig model that we'll discuss later. And besides our sales of our reusable container and our refill packs, we also see other opportunities for licensing, branding, and advertising space on our products themselves, such as this Grease Monkey branded squeeze container on the slides there. Next slide. So our focus market size is well over 200 million per year. From the data we have from June 2019 to June 2020, we see that in only convenience stores, they sold over 120 million bags of sunflower seeds. This included 4 months during the COVID period, so we know the market is larger than the data that we have. And the data does not include grocery store sales or international sales or sales at sporting events. Next slide. So our target market, our target consumer is very simple. It's the current consumers of sunflower seeds who buy their sunflower seeds at convenience stores or at sporting events. Next slide. So here we've got just a video of reactions of sales we've done at baseball and softball events of real people and their reaction. During these events, we set up tents, and this was really to prove out the market. We received very good acceptance, so people were very excited about them. Again, like I said, we've sold over 1,000 of just the container itself without the reusable pack, the refill pack, and we believe that will augment our sales quite a bit. So very good response from the market, and also people that we've spoken to, grounds crews or whatever, that see the need to minimize the mess that they have to clean up. Next slide. So our competition that's out there is basically the old way, which is using a spitter cup or Gatorade bottle or something, or just spitting them on the ground. Or we have seen that Conagra, which has the David's brand and Biggs brand, has offered a simple aluminum can that called a spitter can to spit the seeds into. But then you have to wash them out later, and you have to carry your sunflower seeds in separate packaging. Next slide. So the founders, we have myself, Chad Fisher, my wife, Amy Fisher, and Tom Fisher, Sue Fisher, Rico Tresso, and Andrea Tresso working together. We've brought our experiences together and worked on this product to launch the reusable squeeze container, and now as we go into development of the reusable packaging. Next slide. So our business model, as I said, is really the Keurig model, where we have a one-time sale of our squeeze container, a reusable squeeze container, which is a new market, plus the recurring sales of our custom refill bag. We take orders from stores or sports venues, and then we work with a fulfillment house to provide the reusable container. We've established this reusable container supply chain thus far, and now we're working on the development of the refill packaging. We see us doing that ourselves while we establish it, and then we want to transfer it over to a fulfillment house with automated equipment. Next slide. Once we proved market demand, then we pursued intellectual property protection through trademarks and patents. We actually received our patent for our reusable container in the latter part of last year. And so now we're pursuing development of our refill bag production equipment, convenience store sales, and Major League Baseball stadium sales. Next slide. Our minimum viable product, as I've said, is this refill pack. We're finalizing the design and creating manual assembly fixtures and establishing the material supply chain. The risks that we do have are making the bag material pliable enough to work well within our squeeze container. We are working on that. And as a parallel path, we've been exploring the option of putting our bag that goes in our refill container, our reusable container, inside standard branded packaging that David's and Spitz produce already. Next slide. We estimate there's over 7 million consumers of sunflower seeds based on the data we have. So our predictions over the years are to capture eventually up to 8% of the market in the next 5 years and grow our revenue primarily through the refill bag sales, as that is compounded based on the number of squeeze containers that we sell. Next slide. So the funding we seek is $600,000. 100,000 of that is in the Q1 of this year to develop our manual refill back assembly tooling and create store displays and signage. Then next year in Q2, we expect to need to raise about 500,000 to automate the refill pack assembly.
Hi, Chad. I'm so sorry, but you are out of time officially.
Okay.
But for now, we will move into a Q&A portion. The judges will have the next 10 minutes to ask you questions, and you can answer. And hopefully what wasn't said during your presentation can be said here. Our judges, do you have any questions?
Yeah, so this is Jay Anderson. A nice presentation, well done.
Thank you, Jay.
I see a lot of focus on the technology and packaging and distribution and everything associated with that. But what is the go-to-market strategy? How do you change Major League Baseball to now allow seeds? How do you actually get to market so you can drive the revenue numbers that you showed?
Yeah, I think so. Major League Baseball has banned seeds in this past year because of COVID. We're reaching out to Giants, for example, who has the seed distribution at Coors Field here in Denver, and seeing if we can partner with them to get an entrance at least into Coors Field. And then we're attending conferences this fall at Convenience Store Association conferences to try to establish sales channels through convenience stores.
Have you looked into who already distributes to convenience stores and approach it from like a reseller or a distributor who's already got those relationships built?
Yeah, for sunflower seeds, I guess we have not. We assume that the large brands, ConAgra and PepsiCo, go have their own distribution channels. So we've not pursued if there's a secondary market that we could leverage.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the competing with the seed guys. What I mean is people that supply other things to convenience stores. But anyway, that's fine. I'll let others ask questions. Sorry.
I see Don raised his hand. Don, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, thanks, Hockey. First of all, just hearty congratulations. You guys have made huge progress getting out of the ground here, and very impressive to see so far. It struck me, and I guess this is kind of what Jay was asking, is one of the questions of, have you explored partnerships with the existing seed companies, and how does that work? And I guess really the nub of the question is, your technology is great, and you've got some IP around it, and is there a way to partner with the existing brands so that you don't have to, try to out leverage them, right? And anyways,
yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something we have thought about and would like to pursue. We've Pepsi being a very large company, I don't think we've found the right person to talk to yet. We're trying to make contacts with packaging folks at ConAgra as well. But once we obtained the patent, once our patent was granted in December of last year, then we started reaching out. We wanted to wait for that IP protection before we did. So we've just started reaching out, but that's definitely a path we want to pursue. So finding contacts into ConAgra, PepsiCo, or Giant Seeds is definitely something we're searching for.
Yeah, great. Thank you for that answer. And I'll let Bill ask the next question, but somewhere in the discussion, it'd be interesting to understand where's the transition point from leaving your current jobs to jumping in and actually turning this into a business.
Yeah, that's a very good question. We have been working this part-time on the side, and securing the intellectual property has been a critical step. We have one patent. We're still working on the patent for the refill bag. And once I think we can manufacture the product and we start generating sales, then the latter half of 2021 is when we plan to leave our current positions and focus on this full time.
Hi, everyone.
I see that Audrey and Bill raised their hands. Are there questions that you guys have been sitting on?
I got one. This is Phil. I thought I really enjoyed that presentation. Coming from an investor perspective, so one of the thoughts that comes to mind really is about timing. And with the challenges of COVID, we've got the got that question of, is this the right time for me to invest and for this to take off? Could you say something about how you would approach that with speaking with investors, because they might be concerned about when is that market really going to come back, related to the spectator audience in these kinds of venues, and two, whether you've done anything in terms of the healthcare validation that this truly is a solution for hygiene.
Yeah, good question. We're definitely hoping to make lemonade out of lemons with COVID. We believe it might be good timing for us as Major League Baseball particularly has shut down the sales of sunflower seeds. And we can use 2021 to really establish our refill bag, our refill pack, and then roll into larger volume sales, especially in Major League Baseball parks, stadiums in 2022. We think targeting the season in 2022 is a great timing. We do believe it's a more hygienic method of consuming sunflower seeds and other products that have residual shells, not just spitting them on the ground or spitting them out into the air. But we don't have any specific studies that show that is the case.
I think we have time for one more question. Just kidding. Bill, would you like to ask your question?
Oh, I don't have a question.
I'm sorry, I meant Bill Dietrich.
Oh, yeah. So here's a quick question. Great presentation. It's kind of on a team strength. It's great that you have a couple of people on the team. But it seems like some of the challenges are going to be like managing the supply chain and the distribution of the product. What's your strength, your team strengths in those two areas? Or is that something you need to go outside for?
Managing the supply chain, we definitely have strengths in that. We have strengths in marketing, business management in general. I'd say the weakness that we do have is in consumer retail sales and distribution. So
Yeah.
how do we work with convenience stores? How do we work with the supplier? Is it Aramark at Coors Field, for example, at stadiums, at the Mile High Stadium? So that is a area of weakness that we're looking for advisors or partners, or eventually, maybe employees to help bolster that up.
Thank you.
All right, and that concludes our Q&A session. Thank you so much, Chad and Amy.